All right, well, welcome back. It's time for the final push to the end of school. First thing we're going to do is just get organized a little bit. We're just going to think a little bit about the end of school and what that looks like for computer science. Bear with my bad drawing here, but here we go. It's a calendar. You knew it was a calendar, didn't you? All right, shoot, and shoot. Okay. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This is over here. We've got the 4th through the 8th. Today is the 4th. May the 4th be with you. And then we'll have the 11th through the 15th. And here's what we're going to be doing. This week, I'm about to explain the game design project. It's what we've been working our way up to. All these lessons in the game lab have been working our way up to designing a game of your own. It doesn't have to be anything huge, but that's what you're going to do. And I'm going to kind of talk you through the things that I want you to know about the project right now. And then it's the only assignment I'm making all week. Right? I'm not going to make another assignment this week. You can work on that with whatever time you want to devote to it all week long. Now, there will be, next week, there will be short little programming things that we'll do. They're not going to be big. I'm not going to give you a final. We're not going to make this stressful. There's going to be short little programming things that we'll do each day next week. Nothing terribly hard. You just have to follow through and do it. And you could, if you don't get your game design thing done by Friday the 8th right here, you could finish it next week. It would be okay. But that's how we're going to be organized, right? Okay, now the next thing I want to look at is if you're going to design a game of your own, which that's what this week is all about, you kind of have to have a concept. What's the game going to be like? And I want to show you the thought process that I went through. I've got mine done, and I'm going to show it to you here in a minute. So what I did was I actually did this on paper, but I'm using Photoshop as my fake whiteboard here. So I sat down with a sheet of paper and I said, okay, here's the game screen in the game lab. And here's what I want to do. I want to put some kind of something over here on this side that is going to be like a castle. It's a building, a castle. I called it a castle. So over here on the right-hand side, there's a castle. There is a bridge or it's kind of, a bridge, a walkway, whatever, leading up to the castle that goes across. And this is all water. And this is water. All right, so in my game concept, I thought I'm going to have some enemies of the castle, little figures, the sprites obviously, right? Little figures advance toward the castle. This bridge is the only place they can go safely. If they go off in the water, they're dead, right? So they are going to advance toward the castle. Over here, I wanted to have some kind of player or defender. This defender has to keep them from getting to the castle. So they're coming at the castle, and the defender is trying to keep them from getting there. Now, I knew that to make this work, I was going to have to set up a situation where the defender could push the attackers, the enemies. So you can do that, right? That's a displace block in the game lab. I said like player, displace, enemy, and that means that the player can push the enemy. And I wanted to set it up so that if the player pushes the enemy off into the water, then the enemy is dead and would have to respawn back here on the left-hand side. And there are going to be two enemies coming, so there's kind of always somebody coming. And you can bet that I built in some randomness, so they're not always coming at the same speed. They have a little variation in speed. Some are fast, some are slow. And I'm also keeping track. If I push a defender off into the water, I get points for that. And it could be either up here or down here, either one. So if I push them off, I'm getting points. But if they make it to the castle, if the enemy gets all the way through and touches the castle, I'm losing points. So you'll see in a minute. I'll show you my finished version of it in just a minute so that you can see kind of how I set up. How do you win and how do you lose? What's the winning score? What's the losing score? And I may even send you the link to my game so you could play it. And I don't even care if you look at the code and see how I did it. All right, so this is the first thing I did. sat down with paper, sketched it out, just kind of thought in my brain, what do I want to do? Okay, well, now we hop over to, and I'm going to go first of all to, let me see. There are, this is all posted and I've sent you this and you've got this, but there's kind of a breakdown. It's a 60-point deal, and there's kind of a breakdown of some things that are important here. If you're going to make a game, the game has to work. It has to be stable. So you're getting points for having code that will run, right? When you hit run, something ought to happen. I shouldn't get an error box that just crashes the code, so be careful about that. Concept of the game. Is it user-friendly? Can I understand how to play it? Does it make sense? You need a game that makes sense. I hope mine makes sense. Gameplay. Can I control it? Can I continue to play the game for a little bit of time? Or like the first time do I touch a key, if a player just runs off and disappears and I never see him again, then that's not good. Can I win or lose the game? There should be a way to end the game, right? Win or lose. We did a lesson on that. Code organization. Can I kind of look at your code and understand what you were doing? That's always good. Our last two lessons, I'm going to put a space right in there. Our last two lessons that we did was about functions, and I would like for you to use at least one function in your code. All right, sorry, but you'll see mine in a minute. I used a whole bunch of functions. I'd like for you to use at least one. Just it's a really, really, really powerful and typical programming concept. So I want you to use it. This is wrong down here. This is not a 100-point assignment. I'll even edit that as we go. All right, it's a 60-point assignment. And effort, just putting some effort into it, okay? When you're finished, what I'd like for you to do, and this is just because people will be getting done at different times, it'd be great when you're finished if you would just hop to your redpride.net email and just send me a note. Just say, hey, Mr. Arvin, I'm done with my game, and you can grade it anytime. You could send me the link if you want to, but you don't really have to do that. I can see your game if you build it in the Game Lab. Let's hop over to code.org and look at mine real quick. It's called Defend the Castle. And here it is. A quick peek at the code. At the top, all the sprites are defined. There's a defender and a couple of enemies and a castle. Okay. If you'll look at my draw loop has nothing but functions in it. I decided to put everything into a function, drawing the game background, putting the instructions on the screen. Everything is in a function. And so my draw loop looks a little different. It's just all those green function calls, right? And then if we go down a little bit farther, you'll see all the separate functions that I have here. I've got a function for the game background that draws the castle and sets up the water and the bridge and all those things. I've got, you'll see it in a minute, I've got some instructions that appear at the bottom, and so that puts the instructions on. I've got a function called displace enemy, which just makes sure that the defender is set up to displace enemy 1 and enemy 2. Okay. I've got a function to control my defender, and I do it with the keyboard, up, down, right, left arrows. So that function just does the whole if key down, up, if key down, down, if key down, right, and if key down, left. And I've got a function here for the scoreboard. That's keeping track of when a enemy gets pushed off, I get points or lose. The score either goes up or down in this game is the way I have it set up. You either gain points or you lose points. There's not really a lives kind of thing. I could have done it that way, but I didn't do it that way. I just have a score, and the score either goes up or goes down. That's the way I set it up. I've got a function here called push enemy 1, which just checks to see did enemy 1 get pushed off of the bridge. And if he did, some things, and it's got to be pushed off the bridge on the top and on the bottom, right? He could get pushed off the top of the bridge or the bottom of the bridge, so I had to check two things there. Same thing for enemy 2 here. Did enemy 2 get pushed off the bridge, top or bottom? And if he did, then I got to do some things. I want to point, got to respawn the enemy, all that kind of thing. And then another thing I had to write in is, what if the enemy touches the castle? All right, well, we got to lose some points. We have to respawn, right? And the same would be true. You'll see two of them in here. There's one for enemy 1. There's one for enemy 2. And then what do I got? At the very last thing is an endgame function where I said if the score gets greater than 9, which would mean 10, duh, right? If the score gets up to 10, you're going to win. And I made all of these things happen. I set some things to be, I set the enemies invisible. I reset the background, stopped some velocities, put some text on the screen, says, hey, you did it. You defended the castle. And if the score gets less than -4, which, by the way, would be -5, right, you lose. So all the same stuff. Some enemies get set to invisible and velocities stop and a message pops up, the castle has fallen, right? And I'm going to play it like maybe once or twice, but it's hard. It's kind of hard. I made a game that's kind of hard, right? So if I run it here, and I'm about done, so just hang in there with me. If I run it, my defender looks like a little chess piece, and see how he can push things off of the bridge, right? Oh, get him. Oh, he got there. And I made it so that if an enemy gets there, I might win this. Oh, no, you got to have 10 to win. If an enemy gets there, you lose 2 points. So that makes it a little tougher. My goodness, I might win my game here. I don't know. He's going to get away, so that's going to drop to 7. And I don't want to take forever. I don't want to spend all of your time sitting here because this is a little bit of a dynamic thing. You can be almost ready to win and then turn around and lose like really quickly. My game kind of turned out to be that way. And I'm probably not the greatest at playing it either. A lot of you would play it and be much better than me. All right. So, see, I'm getting in trouble here. Some enemies are getting through. I'm in the negatives. And I'm not going to prolong this. But let's just kind of let it ride here. If we get to a score of -5, boom. Oh, man, look, we hit the limit. -5, the castle has fallen, game over. Now, if I were to ever, manage to push enough enemies off of the bridge to make the score go up to 10, you would see a similar thing there, except it would say that I won, that I defended the castle. Remember a couple of things. I'm looking, it doesn't have to be a fancy concept, just kind of a simple game concept. There needs to be an end to it, though. You got to make it so that it can be won or lost, right? You don't want to just have a game that just goes on forever. You want it to be able to be won or lost, and it's got to run. If I hit the run button and some error pops up, then that's not good. Your code needs to run. And all week long, I'll be available through email and whatever to help you out if I can. Sometimes people dream up concepts that are beyond my understanding of how to do the code, but I'll help you as much as I can. I'm not making an assignment and then leaving you forever. I'm making an assignment and supporting you all through the week, but this is the only assignment this week. All right. There will be new stuff posted next Monday on May 11th, and I'm kind of anxious to see what you come up with here. So, folks, good luck. Off you go. Fist bump.